in the dust. The land of the sand one's a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way, chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't draw in the dust. The land of the sand knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try, chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Even when you fall, sticks and stones may break your bones, but you are stronger than the heaviest waves. The earthquake won't shake you, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen, you are the truth of the land. You rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. You rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. You rise up, climb to the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen. You will rise up to the top.
A grandiose battle is coming. We've all been waiting for this battle to happen. But mostly, the god of the dead, Osiris. The 32 division champions of each realm have progressed to the playoffs, but only one will be crowned champion. The Grand Trophy is awarded to the strongest in the Hall of Fame. But who is worthy now? Are you strong enough to become a champion? Prove it. Overwhelm your enemies. Show off your skills. And be everyone's bet. Let the fight begin.
What is going on, Governors? Chiscool here, and today we're casting Ark of Osiris League. We're in the Sweet 16. The 13 UTC matches took place, and it was a bloodbath. We'll review those in just a moment. What we'll be covering today is JWM versus K374. Soon we'll be joined by Dragothian, who will watch the match with us, comment, spectate, and call out all the good stuff that's happening. At the exact same time, the UCS versus SX54 matchup is going to be taking place, so we'll keep an eye on the score of that matchup as well. But to give just a little bit of history about these two teams, both JWM and K374 have seen top-tier gameplay and Osiris League in the past. So this should be a very good matchup between some very fierce competitors. Getting a look at the scores from earlier in the day, JST conquered 412A. That was a pretty close game, 6,000 point differential. Above that, TR beat my own alliance, the Smash Squad. Good game, well played, 9,000 point victory for them. Above that, Song battled against BG, beating them by about 6,000 points. C9N beat 114 by a hair. That is almost a 2,000 point victory, just shy of that. Very close matchup. And 1V beat the former champions. You can see they've got that champion banner there. OV in a very close game. 1,500 point difference there between those teams. Osiris League is tough, and it gets tougher and tougher every single season that takes place. We'll be jumping into this matchup in just 3 minutes, but let's have Dragothian join us. The esteemed caster, Dragothian. How you doing, man?
Oh, Chiscool, I am doing fantastic after casting that 13 UTC matchup here on the official Rise of Kingdoms channel. However, I am so glad to have you as a host for this one, so we can go back and forth and see what's going on with these two fantastic alliances. This is going to be a matchup that I think I'm going to call early on is going to be one in the middle. And secondly, I think there's going to be, just like the first match, so much activity going on the outside lanes that you nor I will either be able to keep up.
Yeah, well, so if you think it's going to be one in the middle, Dragothian, there's really no question that JWM probably has, I mean, they've got to have access to the better commanders and equipment, right?
Well, yeah, from a Kingdom standpoint, it looks like, K374 obviously being a little bit younger and newer than Kingdom 59. But overall, I think it should be fine. I think, we're talking about the cream of the crop in each one of these kingdoms. Both kingdoms likely had migrators coming in and out. And I think it's going to be won by strategy. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of a differential maybe, but I'm not sure if that's going to be just enough to go ahead and just call it a JWM match and throw your thumb down and call it a day. You know what I mean?
Certainly not. But I will say the muscle sure does make a difference in the middle. I'm definitely eager to see those arc fights. I'm eager to see what skills they're going to deploy and how many arcs they're going to go for over the course of the game. A lot of teams seem to be opting for a 2-arc game these days. And 3 to 4 arcs seems to be the exception rather than the norm.
That's interesting to think about. I think that there's teams like, say, OV, like we just saw on the channel earlier today, where they want 3. 3 is going to be their number. They want to time the capture of those arcs to get at a maximum 3, which is exactly what happened. Problem is they didn't capture all 3. They only captured 2, and that was the difference, alongside of some solid provisioning by both teams.
Yeah, provisioning. 6,000 to 8,000 points if you do it right. Maybe I've seen the upper end is 7,000, but yeah, it's a lot of points to be had. Also, a lot of marches committing to that activity. I mean, typically 1 to 2 players dedicating themselves. Sometimes you'll have a team that has everybody do a little bit of provisioning as well.
Little communal effort. Yeah, I like that too. It's just, I usually, and again, this is just a strategy thing, right? You either want to dedicate one person to really go hard on it. That's their only job. You had one job and that's your one job, or you have everybody do it, but that could be distracting. That could be, I got to pay attention to that one march at all times. Is it coming back home? Is it, time to go to the next caravan? That can be a little difficult.
It definitely can be. I will say the amount of micromanagement involved in Ark of Osiris, it's pretty significant, man. Yeah, you really need to have the ability to keep track of a lot of things all at once. And obviously having your marches all in one place makes that so much easier. But if you can manage lots of things in lots of places, it gives you a substantial advantage in this game mode. No question about it. With only, seconds before the match begins, I think if I back out of this screen and then back in, we'll be able to jump into the matchup. And that is the case. So, Dragothian, I'm going to jump us into the match now, and then we'll get a look at the stats that they flash onto the screen just before the matchup begins. Let's do it. I'll see you in the match. All right, everybody. JWM in blue and K374 in red. For the blue team, they're sitting on a cool 5.6 billion power. If I'm not mistaken, that is the highest power alliance in this league. But both teams have more than enough power to get the job done. 3.9 billion power for the folks in red. That's K374. Looking at a few of the key combatants in blue, get a look out for the provision score of 7,500. Wow, we were talking about high provision scores, but that is a lot of points. And for the red team, provision score of 7,100 as well. I mean, that definitely confirms what we expected here, which is that these teams are going to have some very impressive provisioners at work. Nice. We see some scores up on the screen. Really top tier teams in this roadmap to the championship. 374 having beaten SK57, LN93, 1008, the battle there. Wow. Top teams. Dragothian, 40 seconds till this starts. You think it's going to be mid? You think it's going to be a 3-arc game?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be mid. 374 is going to have to do something. Both of these teams have lost one match on the way here in the group stages, so it's not like either of these teams are unbeatable. I will say again, JWM having, like you said before, the heavy power advantage and likely at least a little bit of an equipment advantage and or commander advantage. So 374 is going to have to come up with something a little bit different with 5 seconds left to start here. Let's see if they're able to pull something out quickly and early, put JWM on a back foot, and maybe disrupt what is likely to be a very solid timing strategy from JWM.
Yeah, here we go. Right off the bat, rallies are starting to be launched. JWM, 1, 2 rallies, set 3 rallies. 4 rallies is what we would expect from both sides, and there they are, rallying their own obelisks defensively and the enemy obelisks to either move troops down the field or potentially try to capture them. Now, I haven't seen any skill be activated yet. Presumably, we'll see hard push soon. That'll get the job done. Let's see if that happens, shall we? There's hard push for one team. And another. Nice.
Nicely timed, right? Usually a lot of teams are starting to try and get those little extra few precious seconds. You don't have to necessarily hit hard push right at the beginning like we all used to do whenever they made the change to hard push. You just got to do it right before the actual rally sends to get that benefit of an extra increase to march speed for those rallies. And of course, what really people want, the extra the less duration for the capture of these buildings. Everybody going towards these desert altars, that's where the first push is likely to be for both teams.
Yeah, I'm watching this march crawl its way over to the obelisk. They're getting there as fast as they can. I will say JWM has got their obelisk first. That's a big deal.
Significantly earlier. I mean, we're talking a good 15-20 second delay for K374 to capture that first obelisk. This may be a little bit of something that can help in the future game get that first rally set going off and headed towards that desert altar on the bottom to support what is likely to be a very major, heavy open field push from JWM to take that bottom desert altar away from K374.
I mean, there's a 30-second differential here, Dragothian, on capturing their own obelisk. You know, I say this a lot, and I mean it. If you can't get your own game plan solid when the enemy is not even doing anything, I am really getting a low confidence that the rest of the game plan is going to unfold as they expect it will. So I'm feeling pretty bullish about JWM's entrance into this match here.
Well, they've been doing it for 4 seasons now, right? I mean, JWM has done this exact thing. The only thing they've had to change is hitting the hard push button 45 seconds into the match. Everything else has pretty much stayed the same since they've been to the finals. What, 3 of the 4 years? 2 of the 4 years, right? Well, 2 of the 3 years, this being the 4th year. So, I mean, they've been there, they've done that. They just haven't won that. And that's what they're trying to do this season, is to try and win it all. Now, obviously, some changes have happened to the team and to the alliance and to the kingdom since that 3rd season ended just a few months ago. And now we're in the 4th season here. JWM trying to repeat a trip to the finals here, and it's going to have to go through K374 first, which is where we're at right now. Rally's going to both sides, looking to see if they break these at the altars or if they decide to go forward. What do you think?
They're definitely breaking this one. I'm looking at one that's got some cavalry in there, man. That rally is not going to connect with its target, and maybe they just 374 arriving now at the altar. Okay. It looks like 374 is going to push for this thing at the start of the match. That's exciting. They're here 99 seconds early, though. A little bit of a dance going on around the outside of the altar. Okay. Little bit of fighting as well. I think that if JWM doesn't clear these guys out of here, which they have the obligation to do, 374 could just walk right into this thing.
So I know you can't see it on your screen because you have simplified graphics, but there's a double C to the right of that desert altar that you're staring at that is loaded with infantry, just chock full of infantry. Like, it's just infantry. So what does that mean to you? Well, having him stand right there a minute beforehand with full infantry, but a cavalry primary commander.
Yeah, I look, they got the captain hiding off to the side over here too.
Here it is.
Yeah, the captain's just hanging out. I mean, they are ready to fill this thing with infantry. JWM has the obligation to clear them out because it's their side of the map, you know?
They certainly do, and they've got the marches to do so. I mean, they're more and more coming, obviously. This is a contention point for both teams on their own desert altar. The desert altar giving, of course, 750 first occupation points to the initial capture, and right now JWM really starting to push K374 off their own desert altar, and without the full support of the rest of their alliance, it's going to be difficult for K374 to make an actual honest push for this. And that double C primary infantry army is going down with a quickness, half health already, and moving still slower because of the infantry instead of cav there. Let's take a look at maybe the other one as well. It looks pretty similar on the other side, Jiskel.
Does it? Man, I think, who's going to get in this thing? Who gets in?
Well, let's see right now.
Desert altar.
Red.
There it is. Get that Zenobia in there. Oh my gosh. They just walked right in. It's like I said, JWM had the obligation to clear them out, and they couldn't. And now we've got an Alex Herald captain. I guess they'll clear them out one way or the other, huh? Either inside the altar or outside of it. There's the Zenobia. Zenobia's now captain.
There's marches coming up from K374.
Too
they only need
too late.
Just couldn't
Not
reinforce
quite.
good enough. That's the difference between really cream teams and ones that are just on the fringe. And that's a big difference. They had 8 marches around that altar that could have gotten exchanged out.
Yeah, they were right there.
Worst.
Speaking of right there, Rally's on its way from 374. Wait a minute. Why is the rally going that way?
It's a reinforcing rally, I think.
Wait. Okay. No, I think the rally's just a little confused. just a little bit of a visual glitch. Yeah, the rally's going backwards, going forwards.
It is still going that way,
dude, it's a Attila Takeda. They figured out which way they're supposed to be going. It was definitely...
it is a red rally. So.
I just couldn't figure out how it was going that direction. But
you wonder why. It's still going that direction on my screen, oddly enough.
Okay.
That being said, I mean, look at the middle.
We all get a little confused sometimes.
Movement. That's right. Already got some movement towards the middle here with 5 minutes, 40 seconds left. Both teams starting to shade towards the middle. JWM going a little bit quicker, though.
Beautiful. You know, while that happens, while we wait for those folks to go into mid, I'm just going to really quickly see if I can turn off the simplify graphics. Also get the screen flicker fixed here so we're not looking at that. turn off the screen flicker. I thought it was because I was getting scouted. I messaged my kingdom mates. They said I was not. Simplify graphics off. Wait a minute. Uh-oh. Wrong button, Chiskel. Wrong button. There we go. Get back into this thing.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Osiris League back
As you're
into
loading
the
up,
match.
As you're loading up, everything is coming to the middle here right now. JWM at the temple, but not quite positioned with force. So K374 has an opportunity to jump towards the middle here and really sees an opportunity to take this first arc. Now, obviously, the first arc, it is the least points-wise at 3,000 points. But right now, I mean, it's pretty even. 590 to 590. It's a 100-point game in favor of K374 having a 100-point delta in their favor. But this arc is going to mean a lot with both teams having all of their buildings on their side. Not really being aggressive.
Dragothian, I loved your gasp there. the shock. I will say, a lot of pressure on a Sky Altar over here. YSS Primary. YSS Theo is the captain? I feel like I feel like we're traveling back in time to a season ago. Doesn't JWM, I mean, they would have access to whatever they want, so that's got to be a very purposeful choice as everybody makes their way into the middle here.
You know, you're right. You know, Zenobia is one thing that's her downfall is she's not really great against Swarm. YSS is great against Swarm, especially whenever you pair him with Theodora. That's a lot of AoE damage going out. That's a lot of damage going out against not only the rally, but also the swarming parties. Not a bad choice. Now, I will say on the outside, you want as much longevity as possible, which Zenobia can provide with all that healing that she does.
I like how a rally just casually walked through the ball of 374, and they're just like, oh, waving as it goes by. Hi, how are you? See you later. More rallies, just cruising right past the mid-fight. Don't mind us. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Taking a little bit of a strategy we don't normally see, hunting for those outposts, trying to get some extra points and maybe force some marches to not be in the mid-fight. And look at this. Just sneaking right through the middle.
Yep, there goes B. Buzzing through the middle there. No.
Right through the middle. Nobody can see me. I'm camouflaged. Trajan, the 007 agent, wearing clothing from the opposing side to not be seen. Oh, they figured it out. Wait a minute. Yeah, why is that Trajan here? Everybody now, get that Trajan. And that may have started the mid-fight.
On the bottom lane, as that mid-fight starts, K374 capturing that Sky Altar, committing heavily. They've got about 10 marches in the open field and have taken the structure with little to no opposition from JWM on the outside bottom lane. So this could be a little bit of a shade play for K374, trying to delay in the middle, showing some opportunity, but really going hard on the structure game.
I mean, I'm definitely confused here. If JWM is losing structures and they were just running away from the mid-fight, I am worried for them. This is looking like 374 has got a lot of presence in this fight, and they took the fight at the start when there were only some of the JWM troops involved. It gave them a nice edge. Let's see if that works out in their favor. Both sides activating War Drums and Mystical Formation, a classic combination used for the starting arc. And look at that. JWM got the altar that belongs to 374. So this is a 2-altar game for both sides.
It really is. Yeah, outside lane being pressured big time as the middle fight heats up. And there was almost a ninja grab of the obelisk on the top right side for K374, losing possibly that obelisk. But luckily, a few marches jumping into that Zenobia-led garrison against a Nebu rally from JWM, trying to capture that maybe portal on top. Who knows? But this middle fight is looking very strong, Chisco. Who do you think is going to win it? I see a lot of blue. I see a lot of red. I think it's still up for grabs.
I don't think so. I think it's 374, unless they don't get reinforcements, which they are. Blue is too.
Fuse coming.
I just think that engage went completely sideways for JWM. I mean, that engage, it was really bad for them, the way that engage took place. Half their team was fighting, half their team was running. It was like one half the team knew what to do and the other half didn't. I feel like maybe they were trying to dodge the skills used by 374, but they are just cleaning house in the middle. They'll have a free arc, free carry on this arc. And now we'll see if it's a 1-arc game or a 2-arc game, but Dragothian. Yeah. What if the JWM plan wasn't to get the arc?
Exactly.
Shrine of War and the altar for JWM. in their favor. And JWM, they are just chilling with those.
They own the open field. They own the territory there. K374, the reinforcements that would normally be coming to the middle to try and secure this arc are instead having to contend with Baba in their face at their own home base, and Alucard as well, pushing K374 players away from what used to be their own structures. So now we've got a rally on the top going back to the Sky Altar, trying to take it back in favor of the red team. This could be a big deal if it takes a long time for these structures to get moved. Now, again, I said earlier, that obelisk in the top lane was also getting heavily contested and almost flipped blue as well. And maybe when I said that K374 was going for the structure game, maybe I should have amended that and said JWM.
Yeah, plot twist. Plot twist. JWM now holding 3 altars. Folks cruising around the back for 374. I'm not sure if this is good or bad that JWM is reinforcing their downfield position rather than addressing their home side altar, but it is what it is. Here comes the Swarm now to deal with Zenobia and YSS in the garrison. Is it going to be enough to take this altar, or is JWM going to forfeit the first arc in favor of the building game, which I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is not normally the strategy they run.
It is not. It is not even close. They are usually very heavy on the structure game, don't get me wrong, but they also contend, just like OV, on the middle very heavily. And this is a little bit of a difference. So maybe this is meant to get into the heads of K374, but I don't know if necessarily that was required. I mean, JWM, the heavy favorite to win this match, not only from a power standpoint and a betting standpoint, but also just an experience standpoint. K374 really holding their own and showing that they're not afraid to go up and punch JWM right in the mouth. At the bottom Desert Altar, I know we're looking at the top Desert Altar right now. At the bottom Desert Altar, looking very strong in favor of 374. And then conversely, on the Desert Altar we were looking at on the top there, there's a lot of red on the open field that may be able to take this, although there's some good marches from JWM there too to go ahead and reinforce and hopefully keep that structure for JWM.
I will say, in order for this to be a worthwhile play, you need to hold these structures for a long time. And I think JWM is doing exactly that. They fall in the Shrine of War, still holding the Sky Altar, Theodora primary, YSS secondary. I'm still really shocked to not see Zenobia. And maybe you just have what you have. And I know that other things are good against the Swarm, but I just really like healing for these downfield positions, especially when there was one March swarming the Sky Altar. Do you know how much that thing would have healed off of that exchange? Oh my gosh. So I don't know. It's interesting choices, but no actual pressure at the Sky Altar yet. I mean, JWM is just rolling in those points.
You see, speaking of Zenobia, there's a Zenobia getting absolutely assaulted there at the top by JWM. Just no, you're not going to come over and take this, and no, you're definitely not going to garrison it properly. We're going to go ahead and kill that Zenobia, so you can't at least do that. But there is a lot of marches here for K374. They know they need to get this thing back. This is a lot of points going in favor of JWM right now. But is it enough, Chisco? Is it enough? I mean, you've got an arc coming back for K374, although I can't find where it's at exactly, but it is around and it is in red hands. So, I mean, that's 3,000 points. And right now, even though they have taken some structures, 700 points in favor of JWM is going to be erased very quickly by 3,000 points instantly. Getting
it's true. There it is. Sky Altar flips back. Now, JWM is going to try to swarm that thing back, and the Zenobia could get inside, but they're not. They're just sitting here off to the side. Could be an issue managing marches where you've already got a garrison in there. You got to figure out which of your swarming marches is the garrison, get it out of there, switch the new one in. So there's no garrison captain. That play by JWM taking out the Zenobia, it's paying off.
Yeah, I think so too. And with this arc coming down towards the south obelisk, just getting a good sightseeing view of the entire map is that arc. Coming down towards the south obelisk and in good protected hands for K374. Now they can start to readjust. And now it's a swing. You got 3 altars in favor of the red team right now, with another rally going out on the bottom lane towards that blue Shrine of War. And if they just capture this and have all the buildings, I mean, all that may be nullified, Chisco.
Yeah, JWM really needed to hold their own altar as they did these aggressive plays. That's the bargain, is that you're taking theirs and holding yours. in order to be considered, dominating the structure game. So now they're sort of trading back and forth. It's definitely an issue for JWM. You got to win buildings or you got to win structures, and you can't lose both.
Yep, just lost and gained back the Sky Altar on the bottom lane there. Enough presence by K374 to make it interesting, but JWM really starting to own the open field there and properly garrisoning the structure. So that should stay blue, at least for a little bit. At the top lane where we're looking at now with the rally that's basically unsupported, this JWM altar really looking to be, well, it wants to be JWM altar, so it's good to go there. But the desert altar on the top lane looks to be staying JWM. There's no open field reinforcements for the rally. And then they're all pushing down to the Shrine of War, huh? The Zenobia looks to be getting some attention here very quickly from JWM.
Yeah, we've got a proper cluster going on at the Sky Altar. Huge scrimmage. It looks like that's a Guan captain, so I would just kind of assume that they swarmed the structure back. Guan became the captain, and now 374 is swarming it. And this sort of a swarm exchange is not uncommon. Now Zenobia captaining for JWM, a much stronger choice. These marches from from 374 now getting weaker and weaker. I think JWM might hold this against the Swarm.
Yeah, they definitely got it, and they're still holding that arc, Chisco, at their own obelisk. The guy is, again, just stopping by each city just for a quick high five on his Cyrus. And just like that, JWM taking the Desert Altar on the bottom lane as well.
Ooh, man, this, I mean, look, the flipping of all these structures for JWM is cool. That's great. But they got to hold them, man. Right? Like, if they can't take and hold, or at least hold their side and be pressuring the opposing side, then they're in trouble. Because you're right. This arc will be scored. JWM is up, not even 1,000 points. So they're going to be down by about 2,000 points going into this next arc, unless they do something really different with these structures.
And they just keep going back and forth. This is going to be a very low point scoring game from a structure standpoint, because the points per minute for each team is just going to be so low. I mean, look at it right now. JWM, even though they've got a good chunk of the map blue, is still only at 590 points per minute because all the structures are still timing out to start generating points. And same thing for K374. You're at 410 points per minute with owning maybe a third of the map. It's just, it's kind of crazy. And then once again, I mean, we're making big pushes here. Taking back that Desert Altar is K374, at least for the moment. And now also on the top lane, pushing hard on the Desert Altar there too, while simultaneously having to defend the Sky Altar on the top lane is K374. From a major rally and swarm from Baba and Alucard and Dork and Landa, all of these guys are coming in to really start to try and pressure all these altars. They just keep going back and forth, just cool.
They do. I mean, I kept the screen on the Desert Altar because there's a double C captain. And JWM's just swarming it, man. Of course they are. This is the sort of back and forth that we were talking about with structures that is very tough to contend with. You go, you take it back and you're like, yeah, we got it. And then it's like, wait, there's no captain.
3 seconds later.
Yeah, and then so it switches back again. Although now Zenobia in the captain at the Desert Altar, that gives them an opportunity to hold on to this thing as JWM tries to bring in a few more marches to turn up the heat. And it might honestly be enough. The altar is looking real low. Reinforcements now arriving for 374. 2 full marches might be enough to hold on to this thing.
I don't know if this is the right play, holding this arc. Obviously, K374 basically owned JWM in the middle. And whether it was by design or not, JWM really taking advantage of that and going heavy on the structures and starting to win from a points per minute perspective. Even though they're losing and gaining buildings, they've consistently been at a 200 point per minute advantage. And probably one of the craziest things I've seen so far is on the outposts for the side of K374, I see rally plus swarm from JWM. Like, you don't see that on an outpost setup. You see that on the main buildings, but you don't see rally plus swarm on the outpost. And that's exactly what just happened on the bottom side at that blue desert, or that blue outpost on the red side.
374 really aggressing on the Desert Altar for JWM. Might be successful. I think we should talk about this a little more, though. The one arc hold versus going for multiple arcs. I actually really like this play. If you're 374 and you make the same assessment I did at the start of this match and you say, you know what? I mean, look at it. Whoa, there's a dude. CPO spotted. CPO Caesar spotted on the battlefield. Hello. Tell your friends. Tell your family. CPO's on the battlefield. I think that must be a large march to fill a structure, by the way.
Yes.
It's not filling the structure, which is the problem with using those sorts of marches. I don't like using those sorts of fat marches that have extra troop capacity that can't really do anything meaningful on the field, personally. But I think that they're going to go for a 2-arc game. And you go for a 2-arc game if you think the opposing team will just overpower you in middle. And I really think that JWM, if they sent the same number of marches as 374, would overpower them in the middle. I think it's very likely.
I mean, it's a matter of, on paper, should it work? And then in practice, should it work, right? I mean,
yeah.
Fair enough. The
enough.
question is, right, did JWM intentionally give that first arc away? Or did they, seeing that they were getting beat in the middle, transition to the structure game very quickly? That's the question that we would need to ask them after the match, obviously.
I don't think it was a transition. I think it was the JWM plan. Because there's no way you could take an altar on the outside lane that fast as a improv maneuver, getting away from going to the middle. Like that, to take that structure, they had to have planned it.
All right, then. Well, I mean, we've got a lot of buildings blinking across the map still. Obviously, with no arc in the middle to be contended for, everybody is going hard on these structures. Rallies firing off everywhere. 8 rallies currently either marching, starting, or hitting. And all these structures are still on the right side of the map here, red and blue, starting to even out here. It is currently a 1,700-point game in favor of JWM, but again, they've got 3,000 points, K374, in their pocket with this arc, and that could obviously flop as soon as they capture it, and hopefully, for their sake, less than 4 minutes.
Yeah, they have 4 minutes to get that done. I will say you are right here that JWM is taking advantage of the points per minute game from buildings. And so, although they did lose the arc, they are doing a pretty good job of starting to make up for that over the course of these 15 minutes that the arc has been in the hands of the red team. That's 374.
And that's why I just don't know if holding this arc is the right play, because holding the arc is great if you're holding your structures. And if you know you're going to lose the middle fight, okay, well, that means you should at least be winning the structure fight, right? I mean, hold the arc if you're going to maintain the lead or maintain the points per minute. But K374 hasn't done that. JWM has been pushing them off their structures nonstop for the last 13 minutes of holding this arc. So to me, they should have capped it. They should have reset, and they should have gone after the arc again and done the same thing. And if they see a heavy presence by JWM, then transition. Go to that structure game, do the same thing that JWM just did to you, but do it better.
Yeah, I mean, with only 2 minutes left on this arc hold, the points per minute now even. It's going to give 374 a slight lead when they capture this arc, about 1,200 points. And all you need to win is by 1 point.
Yeah, that's
right?
Singular point.
So if you hold the arc, I assume that your game plan is to fire up some really crazy skills for arc number 2, right? Do you use to the death?
Well, I mean, if it's going to be a 2-arc game, where else are you going to use it at, right?
Right? Yeah.
You got to throw it. But the counterpoint to that is, well, both teams have alliance skills. They can both fire them off, and then you're back to square one. It's K374 open field versus JWM open field. No buff advantage, no anything. So what's the play here then? I personally think they're going to want to try and get a 3rd arc. And there's 31 minutes left. You can do it. They just captured the arc, now in the win, now on the victory side, at least for a little bit.
Could be a 3-arc game. In fact, with the timing as it is right now, that's likely to be the case, although that 3rd arc is going to be pretty dicey.
Contentious.
Yeah. So, yeah, do they use to the death on this next arc? I mean, you use to the death if you really want to get this arc, but the downside is you're not going to have it for the 3rd arc. So, I mean, I think that JWM is in a really weird spot with what abilities they use in the middle now, because they need to get 2 arcs, I think. And if they're going to get 2 arcs, it's like, what abilities do you use now and which ones do you save? I don't know.
It all depends on the situation, right? I mean, if K374 comes to the middle very early, which I think they should. I think they should really, and as I say that, they're being super aggressive and taking the Sky Altar on the bottom lane. So what do I know? But I think they should go to the middle very early before JWM to really make JWM either commit to one or the other. And at that point, you're driving the match, K374 is, and you can decide, is this the point where I want to go all in on the arc, or do I want to really kind of play defensively and try and, manage that teeter-totter of middle versus structures. So K374 looking like they're trying to stay in the driver's seat and have three desert altars, or 2 desert altars and a sky altar. Other way, 2 sky altars and a desert altar, Jisco, currently in their favor.
Yeah, I will say, with 3 altars, 374 is turning up the heat. They really are. JWM is in some serious trouble. I mean, you got to win buildings, so you got to win arcs. Having lost the first arc, JWM has an obligation to win some buildings, and now they're not doing that either. So 374 playing this really, really well, quite frankly. They've got the arc. They've now got the points per minute, and now they're just opening up their lead.
Yeah, they're playing very defensively. If we look at the back line of K374, they've got at least 2 to 3 solid open field marches or open field players with all 4 or 5 marches around those structures. The Desert Altar for their bottom lane there is looking very safe and secure. Shrine of Life, same thing, nobody around it. You've got the Shrine of War just wrapping up the final open field march from JWM. And really the Sky Altar is the only one that's getting at least some heat, and it is in red, so this may go in for JWM and help alleviate that Sky Altar loss on the bottom side from them. Ooh, it's getting so low, Chisco. It's getting so low.
Yeah, I think the JWM is about to take it. There it is.
Yep.
So the real question is, though, with 5 minutes left to get to the middle, how is JWM going to have enough marches there to get the arc?
I don't know if they're going to. They're committing heavily to trying to get that Sky Altar on the bottom lane back, which is now ticking, by the way, in favor of K374. So 180 point, 150 point now with an outpost coming back online for K374 having an advantage. They are coming to the middle, Chisco, with JWM, but
they are.
I mean, so is K374. I mean, it's about even right now.
Right. I mean, JWM can't lose this arc, right? Like, they have to get this arc. You can lose the first arc and still win the game, but I don't know about the second and third.
More often than not, and of course this completely goes against what happened in the first match of the day, but more often than not, if you lose 2 arcs in a match, you've lost the match. But again, I mean, 1v really showing that you really only need 1, although I believe that was the second one, if I recall correctly.
Worth a few more points.
Where it was a few more points, but it was also more than a 500-point game, so who knows? I think at the end of the day, this is going to come down to the arcs, though. Like we said, the middle team is going to have to win this match for each side. I don't think it's going to come down to provisioning, although there is a lot of provisioning happening. I'm looking around on both sides, a lot of little pickaxes on top of these caravans. So I think there's going to be a little bit to play there, but really these arcs are what's going to decide it.
Well, both teams getting into position for that arc
JWM
brawl.
stacked really well.
Yeah, they're getting a little aggressive on the opposing side of the temple. One player way ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
They really need to group up or fall back, in my estimation. Okay, falling back.
Exactly
Smart choice. Smart choice. There we go. JWM saying, oh, okay, well, if we can have this position, thank you. We'll move everybody up to that position. Maybe they'll get the engage a little bit better last time. They looked really confused for that last brawl.
Well, I will say, I mean, if you're going to position at the temple, right, you want to position a little bit in front. And obviously, JWM currently has the superior numbers right now, I think. But K374, like, quickly making that number up. They've got a lot of marches coming into the middle, just going with 3 minutes until this arc spawns. I don't know if taking the fight right now might be the play. They're still streaming in, It's probably too close. Okay, so they made the decision. That was kind of my thought.
They sort of made the decision.
Right?
Half the marches are moving and half the marches are standing. It's still a half-hearted engage into the entirety of 374.
Now we got
Mystical
skills.
formation, war drums being activated. To the death, anybody?
That's when things are getting serious. You start seeing all the little alliance skills start to pop off.
Surprised. Both
They're
teams
still trying
have
to figure out
a ton
who's
of
doing
skill
what.
points.
They're trying to figure out, or if you pop to the death, I got to pop Heaven's Grace. If you pop Yeah, if you pop more skill buffs, maybe it's time for me to pop to the death. There it is. It's happening. War drums, mystical formation to the death.
death. Okay.
Knew it. I knew
There
that
it is.
sequence was coming.
There it is. But JWM hasn't answered it.
I mean, look at JWM losing marches like crazy.
This is not going to go well for them if they don't have any answer whatsoever. That is not the play. I mean, they've got the points. They need to use them, and it's probably too late now.
I mean, you got this JWM rally coming through the middle. If
That's not
nothing
going to
else,
stop. I don't think so.
they're gonna break it, of course. But
Did they? No, I think they're just hitting. Dude, they've been doing this all game. They're just hitting outposts. There it goes.
I'm surprised it didn't get that much AOE damage from all that
Bye,
AOE
guys.
that's going off in the middle.
Yes. Just don't. No, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Just cruising on by. I mean, 374 is taking the middle, and it was very predictable based on the lack of skill use from JWM.
I gotta tell you, I'm looking at some of these players that are rallying for JWM, right? So you got Bobble on the outside lane with the Sky Altar. You've got Jazz doing some rallies. You've got B on the bottom lane against the Desert Altar. You've got, I think Jazz was on the bottom side maybe with his Nebu. Top lane. I mean, all these ralliers are your top tier players, like your big, with the exception of maybe Jazz, like your big, like heavy spending, top tier gear, procced equipment, everything. I wonder if they're being missed in the middle from JWM. I know they're doing a great job taking structures, but they're not holding them. So are those, what do you think, Chisco? Are those gears and those commanders, those top tier commanders, better spent taking the rally to the enemy and maybe holding the structure for half a minute? Or is it better spent in the middle with 5 marches, top tier gear, top tier commanders, and trying to help own this middle? Because right now JWM is getting thrown around the ring in the middle. Like they're not coordinated.
It's not a contention. Yeah, it's not even a thing. No, JWM has already lost this fight.
Like this.
Yeah,
Except against OP.
I mean, with no offense intended, right? Like it just looks sort of sloppy, right? Like they're all over the place. And I think that if they were going for a building game, they needed to take the buildings. And absent that, they needed to get this arc. So they don't have any of the opposing side buildings. In fact, the opposite is true. 374 has one of the outposts of JWM. And to send marches to the middle now,
it's pointless.
I think it is. I mean, that march
so many marches.
It's gone. That arc is just gone.
Yeah, they're trying to go through that buzzsaw just going, it's just not going to happen. Look at all the sad faces.
am a little confused about the use of points for JWM, and I bet you they didn't have the points for To the Death. You know why? If I'm guessing, and I am just guessing. They used Insatiable Desire earlier, which I feel like, unless they're going to provision an extra arc's worth of points above and beyond what they would have provisioned without Insatiable Desire, that had to have been a mistake. I don't know. I feel like they had to have had more points available, right?
You would think they do, but I mean, look at all the marches. If you can scroll up towards the top of the lane, look at all the marches coming in for JWM. These are marches that should have been here 3 minutes ago. If they had these marches, and some of them might be refreshes, but
yeah, I think they're refreshes.
I think some of them, and maybe the majority are not, though. I think you don't have this group of chunk of players all being refreshes this early on in the fight. I think a lot of these are people who were defending structures that just got tied up, defending, the Desert Altar and the Shrine of War from a rally and maybe a little swarm from K374, and now they're coming into the middle, and now it's just too little too late. They're coming from the top. They're way far behind. There's To the Death from JWM.
Oh my.
What?
That is a huge waste of points. There's no way. And they're all just in the meat grinder getting obliterated on their way to this carrier, which maybe they'll get the carrier.
I mean, they've got a lot of marches coming through, Chisco, but they have to move. To the Death does absolutely nothing if you're marching.
Yeah, I don't quite understand this. They got the carrier, and now with those 5 or 10 marches, they've got to use To the Death to clean this up, but it's like too far to the opposing side.
I mean, JWM is going to have to take some of these structures to make this worthwhile. I mean, and K374 is like, okay, I see you're To the Death. I'm going to come over here with maybe 10 more marches on the bottom lane here and just clean you guys up. No big deal.
Yeah.
Because the ones coming from the top from JWM don't have To the Death. Because To the Death is an AoE circular skill. It is not an alliance-wide skill. So I don't understand that move. I don't understand that move at all.
Yeah. And the real problem is that JWM is once again not the one to pick up the arc. I will say if they did that maneuver and started to move the arc back to their side, I'd have a lot more confidence in this for them. And I will say to JWM's credit, I mean, they're getting a lot of marches over here.
Yeah, quickly.
If they capture this arc, I will be astonished and impressed. Can JWM, there we go, picking up the arc. If they win this arc, then that to the death would be okay. I'm not saying it's great, but I'm saying if that means they keep the arc, not bad.
Just go everybody. This is the entire JWM alliance coming to the middle. I see Baba coming from the very top with all 4 of his marches. I see Alucard, Zing, ST all coming from the very top lane. It may be worthwhile.
They might get this arc.
I mean, they're swarming everything down from across the
I've never seen
map.
something like this. I'm eating my words right now. I have never seen. This is why I don't understand why JWM isn't just playing the mid game to begin with. Because their marches are just indomitable. They are so much stronger march for march.
I mean, does K374 just sit here and murder ball up and just kill everything?
They have to just fight. Yeah, they have to just fight.
And they got to get everybody here.
Both sides need a breakaway. JWM needs a breakaway because they can't sustain fighting on this side if 374 keeps flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing because it's like a 2 or 3 minute extra march. 374 can't just fight this forever because JWM, their marches are too strong. So even though they're closer and able to refresh, like one side has to move the ball, and whichever side can move the ball is going to be a victor.
I don't know. I still don't know who's going to. There's a lot of red here still. A lot of red, and they're just buzzsawing. Look at all the blue marches going away. There's Alucard. He just arrived. Zing from the top. Here comes Baba from the top lane coming around the corner here. But look at all the K374 marches. This is why it's so difficult. Even though JWM has literally poured everything to the middle, Chisco, it's just very difficult because it's on the red side of the map. You got so far to go, even with the breakaway, right? There's so far to go still. And this arc just keeps getting grabbed and instantly dropped. I mean, it was half a second. It was half a second. I don't even think K374 targeted the arc carrier before he dropped.
Right.
Here comes another rally coming in from the middle. Let's see if this one breaks, Chisco.
Nope. Taking the outpost. And now's not a bad time to take outposts.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they could score it at that outpost. So I guess it's going to not the one they would probably score it at. I'd probably cancel that rally, to be honest. But okay.
I mean, who cares? Look how many red marches are here. Let's see. Sunday morning cornerbacking right now, right? But just look at the top lane from the obelisk. Look at all the marches coming down. If I was K374, I would just rally the Desert Altar. That would at least stop half of those marches to have to address the rally on the Desert Altar. Because I guarantee you that Desert Altar is not full. Or the Shrine of Life, not full. Everybody's coming to the bottom here for the blue team. And they're just consistently nonstop streaming players in. But so is K374, and it's on their side of the map, and they keep picking it up while they're dropping it instantly. I mean, it's enough. B coming in with a rally to this outpost, by the way. Attila Takeda trying to do what Attila Takeda does.
I don't even know, man. Blue really needs... There it is. Light has the arc, and then he's down. I mean, that's what just keeps happening. There's just too much AoE damage.
Is this going to be the longest arc ever? In the history of ever, and right now,
Arc of Osiris League, it could be, which favors 374. The thing that I feel like JWM, if they had waited a little bit longer for that to the death, I mean, there was a moment in time, right, Dragothian, where JWM might have had more marches here, right?
Oh, not even might. They had more marches. It was almost 2-1. But then they started to get picked off one by one. And then 374 started really reinforcing the middle, saying, hey, we don't have this arc. Everybody get back here.
Yeah.
We need you.
Yeah, man.
And now it's moving.
This is not secure, but now it's secure. This is a lost arc now, right?
Look how many,
that is in 374's hand.
Down in the top lane. Look how many marches are still coming.
I don't think these can get the job done.
No, they can't. I don't think so.
This not enough.
It's a 1,000-point game in favor of K374 right now, and they have presumably this arc at least close enough to capture. Now, because it's taken so long, I'm
That's
not
it.
so
It's
sure.
a 2-arc game.
Yeah, it's definitely a 2-arc game now, I think, because it's going to take another 5, 6, 7 minutes just to get it over securely to any building for either team.
There is no way 374 wants to do that again.
Oh no.
I mean,
no.
they really don't want JWM to realize that if they just run the mid game with everybody at the start of the brawl, that JWM will win every time, right?
There's Insatiable Desire by JWM again. Ahmad popping that after also popping to the death earlier in the middle where again, I just don't know if that was the right play. And JWM is shifting, guys. They are shifting. So now going after the Shrine of War, all those marches that were coming down to the center lane there are just absolutely swarming the Shrine of War. And K374 has shown they are a little suspect on doing some swap outs
Wait a minute.
on their structures.
I wonder if JWM's going to go for this arc again.
Yep.
A whole bunch of players from 374 peeled away the wrong way. They needed to go address these marches up here. JWM takes the Shrine of War. Now they need to take the arc and score it at the Shrine of War. Oh my goodness. If JWM can pull this off, yeah, why not? That's what they've got to try to do. Although they don't have anybody over there. I don't know. It's a stretch.
I got the Shrine of War. You got one piece.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch.
This B rally for the Utilitator for B in the center outpost is doing work and looks like it may actually take down this outpost. Although, again, that's probably even further away than that Shrine of War is. They do have a Artemisia in that garrison for the Shrine of War, does JWM. But again, there's so many marches here for 374. I got to think they're going to grab that back. And just like that, they do. So all of that a moot point. Grimy coming down here trying to say, hey, maybe I can do something, but just not going to happen. Yeah, 374 has this. It's a 1,300 point game in favor of K374 now, although points per minute are favoring JWM right now because of that Shrine of War loss. And now the Desert Altar going down in favor of JWM on the bottom lane. And what happened to all those marches that went that way earlier?
They were all weak. They're arriving. Here they go. Here they come. Too little, too late. All that obsession with the arc, which was merited, by the way, now is costing them.
You know, I wonder if they stopped going this direction and went back towards the top, having seen all the marches coming from JWM, just wanting to secure that up. And, you know, with that being said, Shrine of War again going down in favor of JWM, now back to K374. Who cares about structure points in this game? You know, just take it back and forth. Nobody actually gets any points. They're just going to go ahead and, you know, just never get any structure points. They're gonna just win this whole thing by arcs.
JWM really needed this arc.
They did.
I know that they're doing some insane provisioning. They keep using the provisioning skill.
They better be. That's at least 6 points this match.
That is a jaw-dropping number of points that they're committing to provisioning. They had better have, like, what do you think? What's your number, Jagothian? For that to be worth it, they need to have, I'll call it 9,000.
That's actually the number I was just about to put out there. But I'll say...
And even then, it's not worth it, probably.
It depends. I mean, usually these guys are averaging, like you said before, earlier in the cast, about 5,000, 6,000, maybe 7,000 if you're good. That's basically an arc. 3,000 more. That's the first arc that they lost. So maybe it's enough, but you got to think that K374 is also doing at least a little bit of provisioning. And
4
even if it's
altars.
2 or 3 grand.
4 altars.
That's what they need
for JWM. They have to. They have to
and
do
now
this.
It goes down. Now it's 3.
Okay.
And 3's good. 3's still good.
3 for 10 minutes is going to be good, but they have to actually be scoring points on them, not just disrupting the points.
Yeah.
Right? So with 10 minutes left, a 300-point differential, right? That's 3,000 points. Technically, it's 350 points per minute. So we're looking at 3,500 points, and technically there's 11 minutes. So, I mean, like, you could pull down over 3,800 points here?
Maybe, plus the provisions, that might do you some good. But again, you've got... What is the second arc here? 3,500 points sitting in the back pocket of the K374. All they're going to do is hold this for another 2 to 3 minutes, cap it, and then they're going to go heavy defensive on their own structures and do some pushing on the offensive structures. Really going heavy on provisioning too, I'm sure. But you've got this Sky Altar that is still on JWM's side, ticking in their favor now, almost ticking in their favor. It's still capturing. It looks like maybe 876 seconds. Yep. Almost about to capture and start ticking for JWM, and it is properly led with a Theodora. It's still got some troops in there, but looks like K374 is looking to take that back.
Oh, yeah.
With a quickness.
Oh, yeah. They got the swarm over here, although I gotta hand it to that Theo. She is holding, baby. Yeah, she's
also
looking
removing
strong.
all the debuffs that these swarms are doing after that first cast of her skill. So that's good.
Yeah. I definitely find it surprising they're not on the Zenobia plan, but hey, you got to respect the teams trying and executing on different plans. I will say, though, as the score nearly evens up here, there's still the arc in the hands of 374. So JWM has to keep this going. They got to get a little bit of lead, and they've got to hope and pray that provisioning is the difference maker.
I mean, that's really the only way they're gonna do it. It's not gonna be the structure game. Although I will say on the bottom lane here, K374's Desert Altar is looking a little bit suspect with not only a rally coming in, although they didn't break it. Okay, a rally coming in, but also open field marches coming in to swarm this Desert Altar, and that's gonna pull 374's troops back, who were also going up to that Shrine of War with the. Well, no, I take that back. They were going to the outpost with that rally, and now that rally is kind of solo. So looks like everything's knotted up in the middle right now. This arc should be captured here pretty soon. Hard push being used by JWM, trying to recapture that Sky Altar at the top and also the Desert Altar at the bottom. Let's see if it works.
I don't think they're getting this Desert Altar on the bottom, and they're going to be in a spot of trouble.
Points, by the way.
Yeah,
4 points for hard push, although it does last for 10 minutes.
3
so that's
points.
basically going to last the whole thing. Hard push? Yeah, 3 points.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. 3 points for hard push. And again, that's not too bad because that does last for the rest of the match. That
it does.
That effect. So not too bad being used. But again, is there maybe a Valiant Stand, or I mean, I know they're using some of those extra skill slots for Insatiable Desire and things like that. Obviously, To the Death is on their arsenal, but they've used that and then some just using Insatiable Desire. Maybe that extra To the Death could have come in handy, but Rally coming on the bottom lane as well to the Shrine of Life for K374. I know we're looking at the top lane here. K374 Shrine of War getting absolutely swarmed down by JWM, although holding strong.
Yeah, points per minute are even. So JWM has to disrupt this.
Oh, by the way,
they have to get
point match.
a full arc worth of points above and beyond 374 from gathering. I don't know. CPO spotted on the battlefield. CPO squad representing.
This is going to come down to this last arc, which should be captured any moment now. You can drop it any moment now. Just drop it. There's no possible
they need to score it.
Score it. Pop it in.
It's actually strictly wrong to continue to hold this arc because that March could be doing literally anything else.
Yeah.
And there's only it's an 8-minute respawn timer for the arc, so they 100% should capture the arc now.
Yeah, it's just 2 minutes that arc carrier could have been doing something different.
Yep.
Still nothing.
Wow. Nothing.
Nope.
Somebody send that carrier a letter, a carrier pigeon, a fax.
There it goes.
Hand write it.
There it goes.
And hand deliver it.
Like,
okay, it's scored. There we go. That was probably the carrier pigeon that got to them in time. There it is.
Yes. All right, so Shrine of War here still looking very strong in favor of K374. Lots of open field marches here. I mean, everybody still owns their own structures for the most part. JWM lost a couple outposts, which, I mean, right now they're still trying to get back. Everything's under assault, but
that matters, man. This is going to be real close. They can't lose structures when they're down on points.
Again, the same thing happened in the 13 UTC hour. We're going to come down to the last minute. There's going to be tons of provisions, and then everybody's going to be like, who's going to win? And at the very end, we won't know until we see the end screen.
CPO squad representing both teams. Flexing the CPO squad.
Why do all these alliances have to be so good, Chiskel? I mean, if they could just make it an easy, make our jobs a little easier.
This is what we're here to see. 4,000 point differential. JWM has to make it up, and there we go.
Just did.
Boom. Altar. Gotcha. Now they need more disruption. They need to shrink the gap in points in order to win this game. They've got to count on all those points they used on provisioning being the true genius level plan that nobody saw coming.
I mean, I'm looking at the home bases. I do see some marches coming back with provisions, with proper farming commanders, likely proper farming gears, and there's a lot on the top lane, especially a lot of caravan marches in these caravans. I mean, we see just almost every caravan. In fact, every caravan. I mean, it's every caravan. If you look at the top behind the outpost, every single caravan has a march in it.
Ooh, JWM losing their altar. It's a big problem for them. They're only up 30 points per minute, and they lose the altar they took. 3 altars in favor of 374. You got to be feeling good about that position. Now the score, 3,500 point game. And insatiable desire. Give me those provisions, baby. JWM is pot committed to provisioning, which means they had better score a lot of points as they take another altar.
That might be the play. I'm telling you, if you look above these obelisks, I've never seen every caravan occupied, but at what cost? I mean, we've got the Sky Altar on the bottom lane having been just captured by 374. It's ticking points for 374. And now they're moving their way up to the obelisk. So this is bad. This is very bad.
JWM wins this on provisioning, man, I mean, it is a masterclass in provisioning.
They've got the marches to possibly do it. I mean, every single caravan has a march in it. Every single one.
3,500 points. Now the points ticking in favor of red. Oh, gosh. Moment by moment, the pace changes, and the points per minute become less and less relevant. Red back to 3 altars. That is not what JWM needs. They've got to disrupt the point game, and at this point, there may not even be a lot of value to it. It takes 2 to 3 minutes to take a structure back. So if you take a structure now, it just doesn't do very much.
Yeah, it's just stopping the point generation for the opposing team. Heaven's Grace being used late game, K374, trying to find out where it could possibly have been done at. Maybe over at the shrine.
It hits the whole map. No, it hits the whole map.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. So I saw
every single march on the whole map gets healed.
K374 trying to hold that Shrine of War and doing so, getting some solid heals right now, and trying to probably take this Desert Altar too was a good idea, getting that Heaven's Grace going. But again, at what point do you just forget about these structures and you got to just go all in on not only provisioning, but killing their provisioners?
I mean, the structures are still relevant. It's just not as relevant, right? Like, if JWM takes this altar now, it's 3 minutes of point disruption, which is really good. Although one of these sides has hard push active, so it's maybe a little bit more disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if they can take and hold it. I mean, they'll tick for a couple points, but not many.
Sure. I mean, this is just it's gonna come down to provisions, and right now I just don't know if 4,000 provisions are in the bag, even with all those caravans being occupied by JWM. I just don't know if it's going to be enough, and K374 is doing just enough to
they really
to win this match. And like you said at the beginning, it just takes 1 point more than your opponent to win this thing.
This may come down to a single point. It's going to be a real nail biter at the end here, watching the provisions come in. Because these teams, they know exactly when their provisions have to come home, and it's not yet. They still probably have another 30 seconds of gathering before they start to march their way home.
So many marches going to that Sky Altar on the top side for K374. It's almost an entire team's worth. It's like it's like they need this building or something.
Provisions coming in for the team in red. That's early.
Yep,
provisions coming in early for the folks in 374. Okay, little bit of an early return.
A little.
Wonder
bit.
if maybe one of their marches got
chunk.
knocked out in the field.
Yeah, that wasn't a huge chunk. That could definitely be happening, though, for sure. That both teams need to be anti-provisioning as well as provisioning right now. Although I'm looking on the map, I don't see. Okay, here we go. There's the caravan starting to pop up on the red side. War drums. Basically, everybody's dropping their alliance skills on top of the Sky Altar just to make this Sky Altar be the point of the entire match. Although right now, 4,000 points still in favor of K374. Now it's 3,800 or 200. Now it's about 3,500.
Now is when the provisions should be coming home.
Yep.
This is the minute in which it happens. Right now.
Let's stare at that point total.
This is when it happens. Running charge. Okay.
Getting those
why
prisoners
not?
back.
Yeah. Well.
Or no, they're trying to get them across the field faster to go take that
4,000 point game. 3,500 point game. 40 seconds left. Are the JWM provisioners going to do the trick?
I don't think they're going to, Chiskel. I mean, it's 3,300 points right now in favor of K374. That's a lot of provisions that need to be coming back. Although I'm looking at these obelisks for JWM, and they've got a big one coming in from Dark Coco here. In the next 10 seconds, there are 16 seconds to get there and 17 seconds left in the match.
That's cutting it too close for my liking.
How many does this Dark Coco have?
It better be a lot. 3,700 point game. I think 374 has it.
It just popped in there. Oh, what is it? I'm curious.
JWM, Baba the MVP. And there it is, 374. Provisioning 7,850. There's no way it was worth all those points all throughout the match for only 1,850 points above, like 6,000, what you might normally get. Wow. GG and well played to both teams. 374 will advance to the next round, and JWM stands knocked out. They did a really solid job on the occupation, but not solid enough. They made a good point lead by a couple thousand, but not enough to offset the 2 arcs by 374.
Obviously the glaring number that we're all looking at is that big fat goose egg
Kills
on the left side.
Okay.
Well,
I was thinking kills.
To address that, but there's a big fat goose egg on the top left corner of that summary page, just cool. That is really glaring to me. And when you don't score a single arc, and really your strategy is centered around at least capturing an arc. Neither of those arcs would have done it, though. If you look at, I take that back. The last arc would have obviously done it. It would have been a 7,000 point swing there, but just a great job by K374 doing what they needed to do. They pressured where they needed to pressure. They kept their buildings when they needed to. They took away buildings when they needed to, and they, more importantly, secured the arc twice, and that was enough to win.
Well, we're going to jump back to the caster's booth in just a moment, but if you've enjoyed this live stream so far, throw a like on here and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss when we're back to cast at 19 UTC. Also, links in the description if you'd like to subscribe to our channels. We also create daily Rise of Kingdoms content. Be sure to check that out. Let's jump back into the casting booth. Anything you want to add before we do that, Dragothian?
Now let's get in there. I'd love to do a final rundown of this amazing match that we just saw.
Right on. We'll be right back. Okay, here we are. Don't mind me. I've got to verify. Hold on. You can trust me. I'm casting. Okay, there we go. Everybody has to verify, all right? Verify your identity. Let's get a look here at the scores. UCS, a 12,000 dominating score against SX54, and truly a close match between JWM and K374. Wow. Wow.
It's really hard to look at here. I mean, you saw 2 season 1 heavyweights, the 2 finalists in season 1, both get eliminated today. I mean, this is a different game than it was.
That is true. That is true. JWM and OV both eliminated top tier teams. I think it tells you just how steep the competition is this time around,
Yeah, for sure.
More impressive than ever and more fierce than ever. And the same players that are better than they ever were for JWM and for OV are losing to the current teams. And that's probably not because of, well, actually, I mean, there is definitely a change to the way the game works now, right? Provisioning is not worth as many points as it once was.
Yeah, I mean, both of those teams were putting up, 13, 14, 15K provisioning scores during the last set of matches.
Yeah, if that's what they were doing in previous seasons, that's definitely not possible now.
That's exactly what they were doing. They were anywhere between 12 and 15K on a regular basis, plus winning all the arcs, plus keeping the structure game relatively even. That's how they were winning. And now, I don't think that they've put so many points into provisioning, so that has helped them rearrange those marches to do other things, but obviously hurting some points being generated by provisioning. They did that really, really well, uncontested. So one thing I want to point out before you can kind of shut this thing down is people are better start to really start respecting UCS. I mean, I'm looking at UCS here. SX54 did a great job throughout these entire playoffs with underpowered, commanders, underpowered gear, underpowered power, taking out big boys, took out 2 4 billion power alliances in the previous group stage. And then UCS came in here and just absolutely devastated them. 13,000 point difference, being a 5.2 billion power alliance. They are now the biggest alliance left in the playoffs for pretty much everywhere. So UCS, used to be that team that was like, oh, they're really big, but they're not doing as well as they should be. Now they're kind of legit. Like, they're going to be ones that you want to watch going forward in these playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they migrated in some really fierce players. Governor, one of the strongest players in the game, but both by power. He's, I think, top 10, and also with equipment. Oh my God, gross! It's drool worthy how good that looks.
Some people got it all.
Yeah, I mean, so this puts us in a really interesting spot here. 374 battles against UCS next week in the quarterfinals. Mm-hmm. Looks like that's going to be at 15 UTC. 1V is going to battle against C9N at 13 UTC. On the right side of the bracket, Song is going to battle against TR at 13 UTC. And JST is going to be battling against the winner of 1008 and LIIG, which I'm going to be casting on this channel at 19 UTC. And Dragothian, you're going to be playing in the realm of Bastet, huh?
I certainly am. It's going to be a little bittersweet because we are fighting our own alliance and our own kingdom. We've got 2 alliances from 916 in the finals there, the knockout stages. We get to play ourselves in the first set of rounds there. So it's going to be a little bittersweet to have to try and beat up on our own alliance, but there will be no quarters shown. We will be doing some fighting on that side, but Realm of Horus looking so strong, Chisco. I'm excited to watch these matchups. Song TR looks really juicy. JST versus whoever wins in that matchup looks very juicy. We just saw K374 take out a 5.6 billion power alliance. Now they get to do it again against UCS at 5.2. That one looks juicy. And C9N doing very well. 1V taking out OV this morning. I mean, geez, I want to cast them all. Can we Pokemon the whole thing and just catch them all?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we got to do some sort of split screen thing. This has definitely been fun, Dragothian. I'll be back here again at 19 UTC. Anything you want to add before we wrap up?
No, just GGs to all the teams so far this Sunday. It's been a great set of matches this weekend, as it has been for the prior 10 weekends. I've just been loving all these matches and the strategies that have been employed, and favorites getting taken down. I got to say thank you to all the matches that decided to go my way on the betting as well. That was fantastic. And from that, really, just again, kudos to both teams. Kudos to all the teams really this weekend for winning or losing. You all showed that you belong here, and there was no match except for maybe one in the Sobek realm that didn't show up strong. So I'm really excited and proud of everybody that's come in, and good luck to everybody at 19 UTC, and good luck for the next week's matches.
Very nice. All right, we'll be back 19 UTC. We'll see you there. Subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Throw a like on here, and again, check the link in the description of the video if you'd like to check out our channels. Until then, good luck in your ARC matches, and we'll see you 19 UTC.